Well, it's finally time to return to the Sonic Review series. After all, it's only been about, 6 months? Well, now it's time to probably explain what went wrong during that time and stop the review from happening. So, shortly after I had finished Sonic Adventure back in February, I started getting footage for Adventure 2. I had about 3 hours of footage and the majority of the game done, and then my computer crashed and I lost everything. It wasn't a huge deal, I just restored my system, and about a week later I tried again, had more footage, started putting the video together in the editor, and then my editor failed to load the work that I had done. And this happened not once, but 3 times. I was forced to restore the system and lose all of the footage again. So about a month later, I was ready to try for the 3rd time, only now I found myself really sick of playing through Adventure 2 over and over again, so I chose to take a break for a few weeks. During that time, I went over the list of Sonic games that I was planning to review, and I felt that I could probably use a few more. So while I was doing that, I was hoping to release the first video for the Rants segment, which was going to be on Final Fantasy XIII. Unfortunately, the editor failed again after hours of work. So at this point, I said screw it and totally stopped all work, until April rolled around and I got a request to do a series for Spider-Man, which I had hoped to finish in a month, but, well, you'd see how that happened. Anyway, long story, well, still long. The Spider-Man series was just the break I needed. I got some more Sonic games for the series, which I'm going to be keeping a secret. I upgraded my game capture to HD, upgraded my computer, so now I'm ready to kick ass and get back to reviewing Sonic games. So, after the successful launch of Sonic Adventure, Sonic Team began developing the next game in the series. However, around the time of development, Sega was struggling to keep the Dreamcast alive. Eventually, the decision was made to stop production on the Dreamcast, and Sega soon after revealed plans to exit the hardware business entirely and instead focus only on software. Sega promoted Sonic Adventure 2 as the last Sonic game that would appear on a Sega console. Despite all of these changes going on behind the scenes, Sonic Adventure 2 soon proved to be a much bigger improvement over its predecessor. Sonic Team clearly listened to the criticisms of what worked and didn't work in the first game. First off, the story is considerably simpler to follow. After Dr. Robotnik releases Shadow the Hedgehog from a secret facility, the two team up to, naturally, take over the world and destroy Sonic. While that's happening, Knuckles and Rouge the Bat fight over the Master Emerald, causing Knuckles to shatter it again in order to prevent Robotnik from claiming it. Though seriously, Knuckles has got to find a better way of protecting that thing than breaking it. Overall, though, it's easier to understand the story this time around since everything now happens in a linear fashion, and if you want to get the full story, playing through the second campaign as the villains should fill in any holes. The game still has 6 playable characters, though you no longer have to play through individual stories. Instead, the game is divided up into 2 campaigns, the Hero and Dark storylines. The Hero campaign has you playing as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, while the Dark storyline has you playing as Dr. Robotnik, and the new characters Shadow the Hedgehog and Rouge the Bat. The game retains 3 mission structures from Adventure for the characters in this game. Sonic and Shadow's levels are all about speed and using the homing attack to make your way through a stage. A new addition to these levels is the ability to now grind onto rails. Tails and Robotnik stages are based off of Gamma's levels from Adventure, the goal being to shoot everything in sight, and it's still enjoyable to watch everything explode. There is a bit more platforming to the stages this time around, and it can be a little bit awkward to make precise jumps. Finally, Knuckles and Rouge have to search for pieces of the Master Emerald. Though a small issue with these stages is that now the levels to search are a little bit bigger, and you can only search for 1 emerald piece at a time, and that narrows your chances of quickly finding one. The desert-based stage is particularly torturous as you have to dig through walls to find hidden rooms and paths in order to find the emerald pieces. And on a bit of a personal note, I just flat out hated these levels. They're so slow-paced, especially when you compare them to the other levels, and I would have just rather played another level as Sonic or Shadow. The 2 playstyles from the first game involving Amy and Big the Cat are thankfully nowhere in sight, and it's all for the best. If I had to go fishing for that damn frog again, I think I would have thrown my controller at the screen. But both characters are in the game. Amy can be seen in some of the cutscenes, and Big is, well, out in space. Well, he never seemed all that bright. Thankfully, there's no hub world to waste your time. The game simply moves from one character to the next, and this helps keep things fresh as you're never stuck playing as the same character over and over again. The lack of the hub world means that all of the upgrade items can now be found within stages, and this can cause a bit of a slight issue with you being unable to progress through the level until you find the upgrade. Thankfully, the upgrades are usually close by to whatever hazard is blocking your way. Boss fights are still very simple and rely on you running around waiting for the enemy to reveal their weak spot. Tails and Robotnik boss fights are ridiculously easy, as all you have to do is keep locking on for an attack, and the battle can be finished within seconds. The presentation is much sharper than what was seen in Adventure. The level design is pretty outstanding regardless of who you're playing as. The locations are pretty diverse, with city streets, desert ruins, and even some of the levels being set in space. The graphics are once again bright and colorful, and the camera, which was a pain in the first game, is a bit easier to manage, though it can be a little bit hard to control when you're in some tightly confined spaces. However, there still are a few technical issues. For some reason, the game's audio levels for the voice acting seem to be really low in comparison to the background music, making it a bit hard to hear, though thankfully there are subtitles. And also on that note, some of the characters talk over other characters before they finish speaking. Voice acting is still weak though, but it does seem like more of an effort was made this time around. The soundtrack once again excels, though personally I like the music in Adventure a little bit better, though City Escape is still pretty addicting. Sonic Adventure 2 is a big improvement over the last game. Sonic Team actually fixed most of the issues from the first game. It removed the pointless hub world, and kept the gameplay styles from the first game that were the best to engage in. Overall, Adventure 2 is a blast to play, and as we'll soon see, it's probably one of the better 3D Sonic games. So come back next time when the Sonic Review series continues when we look at Sonic Heroes. And I promise it won't take 6 months.